I'm super intrigued by the tool and the curricula that you put together to support that effort. I am curious, when you were interviewing administrators, was there any conversation around the year in the AIT program that you would spend, like on backfilling your role, on continuing to maintain, like what does that look like in your minds?
Yeah, did you want to take it? That was definitely something we considered, and really the key around this is the flexibility over the 12 months to try and, I guess, orient the scheduling to participate in these sort of things around things that are going on in the particular program. So and a lot of it being self-driven and learning the content from other people by reaching out. A lot of the curriculum is centered in that way, as opposed to taking up a lot of time where someone is out of the office. So the hope would be that any individuals participating in the program would still be able to provide the support necessary to fill their roles.
Okay.
Throughout the 12 months.
Okay, so your goal then would be to maintain your current position.
Yes.
And have
Yeah, this is to do alongside, and I think to that point, and to the idea that there are many hats that an administrator wears, that it's good to see that if someone is able to complete the 12-month curriculum in addition to doing their current role, that's really a good sign as to whether or not they're
it would be pretty impressive.
I kind of want to speak to that a little bit. In the interviews that I conducted, I picked up the feeling that the overlapping was kind of not planned into it financially. The person who was promoted had a expectation to get on with their new learnings, and so the overlapping was kind of not written in there, and this is the way we wrote it in to kind of budget, and provide some type of cushion there. So.
Yeah, no, you're right, because it's rare when we have a current administrator in place and have identified their replacement, right? And so, that every now and then we manage to do that, but not, it's rare.
And with the administrator training program, ideally they would be working the program that they would take over, but that isn't what it would look like in reality. There's always a difference between what's reality and what's best, best case scenario and what's reality. I think the only times that there would really need to be some very intentional backfill would be during the program visits and going out and working in other program types to get a feel for the job shadowing piece. But for the most part, those could also be done by being involved in quality audits. They could be done by a whole host of things. And quite frankly, there's a lot of, they came up with this fabulous shell, but there's a lot of nitty gritty that still needs to be done, hence the passing of the torch, to really figure out the logistics of how to make it happen. And I think the bringing in our startup administrators, this would be particularly helpful because it would be a much more structured time for them. And it doesn't necessarily need to take a whole year. It could happen in a shorter amount of time. And as we all know with startups, we always get a little more time for the most part than we think we might.
Only if somebody else is building it. If we build it, we open on top. Can I ask a question? So if I'm understanding then, in some ways you're structuring this or recommending a structure kind of like what you've been doing.
Yes.
Is that right? Yes. So then maybe would you mind sharing what it has been like for you participating as an emerging leader while balancing your home assignments, your other job, your real job, right?
I can speak to that. We've had a bit of a busy time this year.
Really, Brenda?
So I thank Jim for allowing me to take the time on top of the multitude of other things we're doing currently. I mean, we've been working with LEIBIS, we've been working with Community Template, we've been supporting startups. But, you know, it's an investment that we both make, right, for our mutual success. So, I think that's just something you have to do.
Yeah, there's something different about the motivation to be putting in the extra effort for this particular program on top of the jobs we currently have, and for our own development, for the connections we've made with each other, the reliance and our sense of responsibility to the program. So I think that's driven a lot of our extra effort that we put in on top. So it's been difficult at times, especially recently, with everything. But it's the motivation has remained there because of ours as a group and what we were trying to accomplish.
And also the skill set that we gained throughout this time makes us more effective in our jobs that we currently hold. So
Good feedback loop.
yeah, it's more effort in and more time and more work in, but it definitely has been worth it in making us more effective personally and professionally.
Can I add something too? You know, we started with 25 people. And for some, they weren't able to find that balance. This group is exceptional. And so just, yeah.
I had a question. Just coming from a previous company where we had similar programs, I was just curious in your kind of interview process and your data collection. Did anything come up? Because often the individual that's doing the mentoring or basically providing that transfer of knowledge, it's a commitment for them as well. So did anything come up around ideas around that? Because as you indicated, we did kind of have a program before and just losing that momentum. So did you all come across or come up with ideas on how we can continue to gain that momentum and maybe get ahead of some of the challenges that may come with that?
Do you mean specifically around the mentorship piece?
Mentorship, please, yeah, and just the time, like we talked about.
Yeah, I think it would be a commitment for anyone, obviously. But what I've seen and especially from some of the higher level leaders and being at a couple of ACT Standards meetings, this is a crew that volunteers. And this is a crew that wants to support the growth and development of others. What we would want to do to help support a mentor would be provide some structure and curriculum for them so they have a guide, so it doesn't get too overwhelming in terms of providing the right guidance. So we want each to have their own set of responsibilities and to have those be clear in terms of the expectations, and the hope that would keep that momentum going. Is that?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I have a question. One thing I was curious about was that you think the person should hold a master's degree. And in some ways that kind of rules out a lot of people who might have the skill set that you're talking about. So I was curious if that was how that was arrived at, and if it was a unanimous decision.
Because I can't see.
Yeah.
So when we evaluated the current job descriptions of administrators and those who currently hold leadership capacities at our programs, we found that the common denominator was either level of education or certification, right? If you have if you're an RN, you probably have a bachelor's degree. So maybe we might be able to elevate that a little bit to have, a master's degree and an RN to be a really effective administrator. So we kind of used what we currently have as the benchmark in order to not eliminate a whole bunch of people who don't have a certification or who don't have a license, and that was just kind of the standard that we'd evaluated. Of course, at the end of the day, whoever's going to spearhead this campaign will be able to, you know, make any adjustments they need to. Of course, if we find that that needs to be adjusted, we can. But based upon our evaluation, we felt that master's degree would be sufficient.
I think another piece of that too was that for those people that are on their way to getting the appropriate certifications and education levels, that the Emerging Leaders Program would be the entryway on the path. That would be first step into this and then on into the administrative training.
Did you have a recommended number that you were thinking about for like our first cohort of AITs? Like, did you discuss how many?
18?
You know, it wasn't even looked at like a class per se. It was really an independent kind of thing happening throughout the organization. The classes that they would take part in would be the Leadership Success Series, the Emerging Leaders cohorts, and some of the things that are existing. It wouldn't be an additional class cohort meeting. So it's really self-directed.
And people finishing and completing at different times, starting at different times, so that pool would forever be changing.
So does that mean you think we should do it did you guys discuss if it should happen everywhere at once, or like in terms?
We have to finish developing it first. I mean, right now it's a shell.
Yeah.
We haven't put, and anybody that wants to committee, you know, we all were kidding and joking that it would probably be on my desk next year. Because there's a lot of logistical thinking that has to go into it, and a lot of really looking at how to put the structure in place so that it can go anywhere and anyone can be successful with it.
The question I have is, in your interviewing, I have two questions. In your interviewing, did you find administrators that wanted to be a part of that training? So like they wanted to be retrained based on the curriculum that you put together? And then my next question is, how would you determine which administrators would be the mentors? Like, how would that be set up? Like, is that just you're going to each program, or there's specific administrators that want to be mentors, or how would you come up with that part of it?
So to answer your first question, no, we didn't find anyone that wanted to go. I'm sure there's definitely a lot to be gotten out, because it's kind of the collected perspectives, advice, and everything of a lot of different administrators, regional directors, and staff. To answer your second question, we would hope that there would be people that would be volunteering for that. I think it would be a little bit too extensive to have people going to every different sort of program, but the hope would be to get, I think, one or two administrators from each different program type. Because the other piece of this that I think is really important is being able to create a pool for people to be able to run a diverse set of programs, right? So I know that the previous the AIT programs in the past, I know, have been centered around particular programs.
Yes, right.
So
I don't know where we
be
did anywhere else.
this would be like a kind of interchangeable what it takes to be an administrator, outpatient, above the SNF.
And to add on to that, like for example, you work in finance, and so the work that people will be doing, it'll be similar to the Learn and Grow Guide that the administrators get after they onboard. And in fact, some of that work would happen prior to, and so some of the people that they're reaching out to are experts and subject matter experts within the organization, so that they're making connections, and it's not really all on the administrator's back. And so the culmination of the program would be, the hope would be that everything an administrator has to do to take their regional director through a regional rounding, that before that administrator would be ready to be an administrator, that they would participate in a regional rounding shadow. Then the next time they would gather and do all the work that is required for the meeting, and then the third time they would actually run the meeting. And that would be the graduation. When they can manage that and have all that information to be able to speak to all the financial information that's required, to speak to the HR information that's required in a regional rounding, that would be like, okay, you're ready to roll. Does that make sense?
My eyes just got bigger. No, I mean, yeah, just because the regional rounding is pretty new and, yeah, somewhat unfamiliar, but, yeah.
But to teach to that,
Yeah.
I think, because I think that those are the tools that administrators really need to understand in
Yeah.
order to be successful in their role.
Yes, I think to teach to that, but then there's a whole set of soft skills
Oh, yeah.
that I wouldn't want us to ignore. Yes,
Oh, heavens.
absolutely, you need to do all of those things.
Yes.
Shannon, perspective, question.
Thank you. Well, I mean, first of all, congratulations. I mean, wow. Hi. I sneak in behind you. Well, congratulations. I mean, it sounds like you really are moving, are advancing a core principle. It's so important to the organization. I mean, this is incredible groundwork that you're laying down. And for that purpose, I have a question for you. I think, Jordan, you spoke to this a little bit earlier, but what would you advise the next group of emerging leaders? This is a program. We'll start and end with you. So with the next group, what would you advise them to get the most out of the experience? Great question.
Because we're about to start, right?
Did we already start?
Yeah. Don't say anything about hats.
I would definitely say, this was a special group. This really was. I would definitely say come with an open mind. And it's not so much about coming with the perspective of I'm going to get promoted, I'm going to get money. It's an adventure, it's a journey to learn how to work with other people with different personalities, different backgrounds, and take that into the world and back to your respective agency. That's the advice that I would give.
Also be flexible. I mean, like we've all said, time is, we're all short on it. And things come up in life and professionally, and just to kind of roll with it. And, lean on the support of your colleagues as well, and they're here. So to definitely lean on their support and
I also want to add, be committed. Make sure you really want to stick with the whole 10 months. And, I'm glad of Washington, and sometimes it's tough, but it's totally worth it.
I would just tell them, Telecare's commitment to your growth is real, and embrace the opportunity.
And I would encourage people from corporate to participate. For me, it has been, I think I've just grown so much and learned so much from the program staff. I typically don't get to go out into the program, so my connection is, a job code or, a job title. And to actually meet the individuals, really brought it home. So I would encourage people, especially here at corporate that don't get to interact with the program staff, to participate.
And I think it's been mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
Great. Yes, Jeff.
I potentially have a two-part question.
Okay.
So you guys have me sold at going on vacation. Everything you said after that was sort of like, great, it's icing on the cake. So how did you guys talk about or consider the role authority that the IT would have and the potential dual role kind of situation if they're working in both capacities, and how that would be sort of managed?
Can you elaborate or clarify?
Well, if you're maintaining your current role within the program, that you're also working if you're an AIT and you're covering for an administrator, you kind of inherently would have some role authority. You'd be giving, I mean, that's my question, is would that be the case, I guess?
Do you guys want to answer, or do you want me to answer?
Well, go ahead. What we talked about this morning, you can lead from anywhere. You can lead from any position, you can manage up, you can manage down. We literally just said that a couple hours ago. But I think in that, it's the way that you present and the way that you hold yourself more so than this person I'm leaving in charge and this is the person to listen to. But okay, I'm taking place of Jeff while he's out on vacation, and then just using your leadership and management skills in that.
Yeah, and I think it's only during that period of time. And it's just like right now, if you have a PSC or somebody who's not in a team lead position and you have a team lead that's going away for a week, it's a wonderful opportunity to get them to, try it out a little bit and see how they think and what they feel about it. And I think that would be the same kind of thing, that it would just be during that vacation and that there's very specific and clear role clarity. That you're in training, you are not at an equal level.
And we wouldn't want it to usurp any other kind of lines of authority. Someone is a team lead in the administrator and training program, and the administrator went out, the clinical director would still be, and that sort of, it wouldn't take the place. But
I also love that you came up, oh, I'm sorry for you.
No, that's okay.
I love that you came up with something that is so impactful in terms of the organization. This, I didn't realize we hadn't hired anyone from within.
I'm not sure that's true.
It may not be.
I'm looking at someone.
We need to hire more. We need to hire more. But I was curious, would you surface any of the other, you said there were some other ideas about improvements that you thought about? Were there other, besides the idea of...
So old now.
Got our attention by mentioning it,
there were a
right?
lot of great ideas.
Yeah, so someone,
There was
I'm
a
sorry.
variety.
Are we speaking in terms of different options that we have? Just for clarity purposes, the substance abuse won, but we chose to go with AIT. So the substance abuse program, and I worked with the co-occurring population. We've made a lot of strides in that area, but program to program is unclear for the direction and where it comes from. So I think we can do some work in that area.
Developing more
substance abuse certified specialists, and exactly how we treat, how we document from a uniform perspective.
Another project we had proposed was documenting closer to time of service by providing ability to document in the field.
Any other ones that you want to share before we hear from Leslie?
There was identifying, the word I got from the examiner was sneeze, subject matter experts, at like a local, to certain, for different specialties, being able to reach out to those people. The employee exchange program was a really great idea. We were looking at also like adding more specialties in, like animal assisted therapy, art therapy specialties, which already exist in some capacity, but bringing them into other program types. And we had, I think there was like 60 or 70 different things that we came up with.
Great.
Can I just add some clarification regarding the data?
Yes.
We touched the nerve.
Just so we're clear. So according to the HR reports, for fiscal year 17-18, the 21 individuals hired as administrator, there were no promotions. There was one boomerang. So anybody who was hired either before or after fiscal year, then we need to figure that out, but it might have been either before or after.
Was it?
No, it was January.
January.
I'm sorry.
Talking there.
Leslie, your question.
Yeah, so you had 75, I'm sure, great ideas about how to improve telecare, right? And you've already mentioned some of them. So I'm really curious, what were the pros and cons of choosing between the one you chose and the runner-up and the third place winner.
Yeah, great.
Third place.
I think it
What-
really came down to what did you accomplish in 9 months, right? Where did you make the biggest impact and reach the most number of people, given the very limited amount of time we had to devote to it? So that's how they came in, plus the vote.
Yeah, we did, let's them all up, we multi-voted, we reduced it down, and then we actually used the tools that we learned in emerging leaders to weigh out what would be the best for us, and then made a selection with the guidance of the Suzanne.
And with regard to the SUDS information, the work that we had proposed is already in the works. And so in response to that, we brought in Dr. Eller and Scott Madover, and they talked about all the things that are going on and all the work that they're currently doing around that, which was pretty exciting. Yeah, and so after they came through, everybody was like, oh, yay. So, you know, it's just, I think a lot of it is there's so many things that take such a long time to happen because there's policy changes that need to happen. There's so many things that happen behind the scenes before it ever kind of comes to a place where we get to see it or feel it or touch it. And so it was great. It was a wonderful opportunity to be able to say, hey, it's happening. Slow, but it's happening.
And also creating the AIT program was very cost effective, even though the budget was given to us. We did not use that much. So, and also the administrators who were already in train gave us the training from previous trainings they had. So we had to use those trainings to build up, and we just enhanced more into 2020, like going into. So the cost also played a big role in making the decision.
Impressive, business-like.
Jasmine, and then Chen.
So first and foremost, congratulations. What a wonderful, wonderful presentation. And you could see the smiles on your faces just from ear to ear. Everyone's just beaming. It's a beautiful thing to watch and to hear your feedback around how Telecare is investing in you and really cares about your development. If you reflect on the last 9 months, you learned a lot. Every month you had a different topic that you learned. Was there an aha moment that you had about the leadership development that you learned?
I think that really sticks with me and that I use even now. I mean, I'm not a leader yet, but I go back to my work.
She's gonna be. In just a few days.
Is the why.
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing this? Not just because, oh, it's policy or because, you know, administration says so. It's like why? Like, it's either in the contract or, I can't think of any other reasons, but the why is so powerful, and it's changed my view on so much.
That's great.
I think every month that we came in, there was always such an interesting topic that was presented to us that for me personally, I think every month I was going, oh my gosh, that's why we do this, or I can take this back and apply it immediately, you know. I remember we were just in the process of doing the presentations for the performance management and having gone out to the different programs and training our administrators. And one of the sessions that we had is how to make it more engaging. And it's like, oh my God, this is what I can use. You know, I can immediately apply it so they don't fall asleep on us as we're going through slides. So I think every single month there was something, you know, from budget, you know, when Faith came in and explained, you know, how the contracts work, everything just kind of tied in. And really, at least for me, made it seem how my role really impacts the organization.
So for me, we have to read 2 books. You guys realize that we have to read 2 books, and part of this journey helped me realize that I don't have to be good at everything. One of the books described moving forward and getting promoted. I might be good at this role, but in another role may challenge me in a different area. But what I do have to do is learn what I'm not good at and use my resources or team around me. And so that was an aha moment for me, is to learn that just because it's a promotion or for example, if I'm a PSC and I might not be a good team lead, I might not be a good administrator, but I have to recognize that within myself and be good at what I am good at. And I think that's one of the strengths of Telecare.
I was gonna say that, you know, for me, it's also like a different type of energy, a different kind of confidence. I'm sort of I'm not speaking for one thing, so I'm like really nervous, but, you know, sometimes you get stuck. You're doing good. You're doing great. Sometimes you get stuck and you need that change.
Yeah.
And for me, it's helped me to I didn't consider myself a leader, but it's really helped me just kind of not sit back and wait for someone to show me direction, because it was kind of like a new role. And I was sitting back, I'm like, I want to do great in this, but I really wasn't getting a lot of support, and I had to think about it. Well, they don't know either. So it kind of helped me just kind of take charge and get out there and start networking and getting to know people for myself, getting phone numbers. This group has been great. And I just learned a lot about just taking charge. And like Scotty said, you know, moving up doesn't necessarily mean that you're not a leader. You do the best that you can do and be the best at your position, and you're still leading. I'm one of the lasting people from the startup of Telecare Solar in Sacramento. I started in 2010. And so I didn't recognize growth in myself, but when I was approached to attend this, I'm like, you know what, thank you God, somebody is noticing and wanting me to grow and do better. And that just kind of motivated me to want to do better. And I love what I do. I have compassion for the members that I work with, and I'm very appreciative. Thank you guys.
She's like, I want
Hard to follow.
But for me, it really helped me understand who I was as a person and where I wanted to go within the company. And not just saying, okay, I want to be a leader, but as we learned today, you can lead from where you are. And understanding that, you know, I like myself, and I came into this not having that confidence, thinking that I don't perform the way that I should, but I have a great administrator, Greg, who always reminds me, Kimberly, you're doing good. I'm like, but I see myself as being less than others see me. But this program has shown me that I can see my self-worth and how I've grown. And I've heard, as I was practicing with some of the staff members, they could see the confidence that I have from being in this program. So I think it's an excellent program, and I'm just promoting it at my facility as much as I can. But the group here, we learn so much from each other. Not all of us come from the same programs. I come from acute inpatient, and you know, a lot of them didn't know what goes on in Washington, and I don't know anything about outpatient, but just to learn all the different aspects of what goes on within Telecare and how we grew as a group. And if the 10th month, this is our 10th month, and we are still here. Sometimes we may say things that would, you know, be like, well, no, that's not how it is, you know. But learning to take that, I don't want to say the feedback, I'll put it like that. Learning to take the feedback and say, okay, well, I see where I can grow, and I've gotten there where now I can take feedback instead of holding my head down and saying, oh, woe is me. But now I can say, okay, thank you for that information.
Just one final question. Are there things that you guys, through all of your experiences in terms of administration, supervisors, that helped you to be successful? Are there things that those of us who are recommending people and supporting people going can do to be more supportive of you on that? Because it's a long journey.
It's a long journey, totally correct, and it needs a commitment from the person who is participating, and also it needs the commitment from your leadership team. I have to be very thankful to my DON, Donna is there, and Carolyn is there. They were very supportive, and they were very eager to hear, what did you learn today? The next day I was eager to go to work, to tell them, oh, I learned this, I can do this, can I participate in this way, what I can do, kind of thing. So it needs more promotion and support from the leaders so that we can be motivated to go for the training. And every month, I was very anxious and eager to come and participate in the training where even though it was double work, even though I was doing my own work at the job, it didn't matter for me or heavy loaded, oh, I have to go read this book and I have to do this. But I was like, I want to, can I take this time and do this kind of thing? So supported from the management team plays a big role.
I also think seeing the excitement, so I'll speak for myself and Jasmine, my manager, director, seeing the excitement of my learning and her wanting me to share that excitement with our staff, with the rest of the group. So when we had our staff meetings, it's like, okay, she'll share what she learned in emerging leaders. So kind of also passing on that information and the knowledge that I learned here with the rest of the staff.
I would just like to echo what Roxana was saying. The commitment wasn't really, I didn't feel like this was much of a commitment, even though it was on some levels. I was excited every time I knew that Emerging Leaders was coming up. I got to see all of these folks, hang out with them, and it was truly within the first couple of meetings where they felt like good friends, and including Suzanne and Renee. I would say the commitment is really on the administrator from the program that we are exiting